Welcome to Remembering You, a space for slowing down, seeing again, and gathering the parts of yourself that the world asked you to forget.
Each week, we wander through stories, ancient, personal, and collective, to explore how perspective changes everything. How what we look at and how we look can open doors to who we truly are.
Take a breath, feel your feet.
You've arrived.
Let's begin remembering you.
The Enneagram. Not 9 boxes that people fit into, but rather the powerful gifts and capabilities you can embody and live out in your personal, professional, and inner world.
If a corporate document were a movie trailer.
I don't know. I had ding, 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 boxing match in mind. That's what was in my head.
Mr. Announcer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the 9 types in more detail.
Of the Enneagram?
Yep, of the Enneagram.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it would be a helpful frame to listen to this not through the lens of what type am I, as if you are just one type, but more so in what way or how do each of these 9 types live within me or live within the people that I love and care about and have to interact with every day, because we're a collection of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting thing to kind of recognize, oh yeah, I've got a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and my friend, boy, they really got that one. And yeah.
20 years ago when I first came across the Enneagram, if you would have asked me, Ryan, what does it feel like to live with an Enneagram 9? I would say, I'm figuring that out. And if you would have asked, what does it mean to live with an Enneagram 7? I would say, I have no clue. I haven't done it yet. But now I have content.
You know intimately what it is like to live with an Enneagram 7 and I with a 9.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, we all have our own unique flavor.
So I'm excited to talk about what is the gift in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And to your question, what does it mean when I witness or feel or experience one of these gifts coming in and through me, whether I am mostly one type over another or not?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be a fun exercise to explore. And then also, what does it mean to be married or a relationship or have a coworker that is bringing their gifts from this way of looking at being in our lives today?
Yeah. Gifts and blind spots and fixations and all the whole kit and caboodle. So probably what distinguishes Enneagram the most from the trait-oriented personality typing frameworks like Myers-Briggs or Ocean. So they're looking at external traits, extroversion versus introversion, openness, agreeableness, conscientiousness. Whereas Enneagram looks at what is the underlying motivation for the behavior or the expression that we can see on the surface. So you can have 2 different Enneagram types who are showing the same kind of behavior on the outside, but the reason they're doing it underneath can be drastically different. And I find that a much more interesting question to think about and to feel through, because I think it gets at the heart of why we do what we do. And to me, that's a lot. I mean, one, it's more interesting, but it's also a lot more helpful if I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I connect to you as a partner in a more meaningful way? Or how do I understand my own self as whatever type I'm showing up in a moment? And what do I need to do about that, if anything at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The why behind the what.
Okay, cool.
Type 1 is the strict perfectionist.
Yep.
I bring integrity standards and improvement to my world and the world that I experience.
Wingardium Leviosa. Stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
The core motivation for the one is to do the right thing. Like, things have to be orderly. They have to go a certain way, or the person has to show up in a particular kind of way. So sometimes ones get fixated about the world around me, or other people around me need to be doing or saying or being in a particular way. And sometimes they focus it inward more so than outward. Like, I need to be perfect or do a thing or say a thing in a particular kind of way. So things just need to go, they need to be right. They need to go a certain kind of way.
So these are the folks who are passionate about maybe standards at work,
Yes.
being up to par,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that things are moving forward in a project in a healthy and productive way, and nothing's being left out or falling through the cracks.
The I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Lots of detail orientation
Yes.
here
Yes.
in this. Ethics, standards.
Yeah. Principles.
So a lot of gifts, strong gifts,
Yeah.
important gifts.
Huge.
And it can get a little bit sticky when we come home if one is our motivation, because so the positive side at home is going to be a strong sense of reliability.
Yeah.
They bring stability and certainty to their intimate connections.
Yeah.
Well, while also there can be a little bit of feeling critical or being criticized by others when they're not living up to the standard.
Yeah.
So if you're living with a one, you may feel like, I just can't do it right all the time, and that can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, like they may come across as critical and not realize that that's how they're coming across, because to them there's just
this is normal.
Yeah, like there's a very clear right and there's a wrong and there's a better way and there's a worse way, and yeah.
The one is going to think, I'm being helpful here in this moment.
Yeah.
And a partner might think, oh no, this is actually, from my perspective, I feel like I'm being corrected all the time and just can't measure up.
I'm fairly certain my mother was a one. I think she ticks like every box. And of course, that's not to say that all ones are critical or judgmental or come across that way. Of course, with we're giving generalities, and there's a huge spectrum in, like, you might have a one who is like, does have a strong conscientiousness, sense of detail, structure, and order, but they have learned that they can come across in a particular sort of way, and so they've learned how to say things or frame things differently and allow for variation and allow for someone else to have a different way of doing things, and that's okay for them. So it just depends on how like strongly gripped on they are to this perspective, or how tightly held it is. Yeah.
I had someone in my life in my 20s who was definitely a one, and they always had this unrealistic expectation of how things were going to end up. And it didn't matter what or when or where we were. Like, there was just this, it was intense.
Like they had an ideal, and then it never quite lived up to their expectation. So they were disappointed all the time, probably.
They were disappointed in themselves, and they were disappointed in the people around them. And yeah, it took a little while for me to be able to relate in a positive way to this person. But once I did, there was an incredible trust in the way that they were seeing and how they wanted to show up as bringing ultimate good to the world around them.
You have always felt a very, like, you feel to me sometimes way more like a 1 than you do a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've definitely, so these two sit right next to each other on the Enneagram, and
A little bit of crossover.
a little bit of crossover. They rub shoulders, and it a 9 can kind of lean more to the right or lean more to the left, so they can show up more like a 1 or more like an 8, and you definitely have always struck me as more like a 1. And I remember, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I remember on our first date looking at you from across the table, and I was tracking that your posture was very good. It wasn't rigid, but you were sitting straight up. Your eyebrows were meticulously manicured, and they always are. Your hair was perfect. Your clothes were neat and clean. The way you spoke was very orderly and just careful and conscientious. Like, everything about your fingernails were perfect. Like, everything was on point. And I was noticing my own concern, because I was like, okay, what's the why behind that? So is everything perfect because he's deeply insecure, or is everything perfect because there's just a very clean and clear sense of, I am, like, quite the opposite, actually, that you are grounded in yourself and deeply in love with yourself and just want to show up in the very best way possible, so to say. And it took me a little, I'm like, I'm not getting a sense that there's insecurity here, but gosh, a lot of people show up perfect on the outside because they feel insecure on the inside. So I kind of had an eye on that for the first few weeks before I was like, oh, okay, all right, it's okay. He's not compensating on the outside.
That is good. So I've gotten that before. I did lunch with a new friend a couple weeks back, and as he and I are sitting eating our Mediterranean cuisine, he looks at me and he's like, "What is your Enneagram type?" And he's done a lot of study and work in himself around this. And I told him, well, I type mostly as a 9 as my motivation. And he was like, what? Because he was tracking the 1 characteristics as well, and was a little bit surprised. But it's one of those things that takes a while to get to know somebody.
And that, I think, is a great manifestation of how behavior can look the same on the outside, but your underlying motivation, I imagine I know you do value structure and order and discipline and routine and detail. Like, all of that is true. Like, how would you explain the way your motivation either does or doesn't align with the 1's?
So I drop back into the idea of nature versus nurture. So the why behind attention to detail, especially about personal presentation that I have, is going back to my mom and her attention to detail and the importance that was placed on me in my early childhood to comb your hair, brush your teeth, make sure you have on a pair of pants that don't have holes in them before you go over to your friend's house. And it was just those simple little reminders that set a pattern. So I don't necessarily have, like, the why for me is not that I feel fulfilled or I feel happy or there is something that I'm gaining out of trimming my fingernails. Other than I know that demonstrates respect and honor to the people that I'm meeting with, supporting, caring for. And so that's the meaning that I get from, or the meaning that I am, that's the why, of the meaning for presentation in my experience.
Yeah.
How would you tease that out further?
I think it can be just as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, not everything is like super deep, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we do pick up conditioning from our parents that, you know, can just be as simple as tuck a shirt in and comb your hair and brush your teeth. And this is just how we show up in society.
There's also the spiritual dynamic of trying to be always right or perfect or on point or never fail or not let God down, or so that also can get, I think, when I'm off, although I no longer have a fear of disappointing God, there's still like that can still come out in my life sideways or in an unhealthy way when I'm trying to control my experience, or I'm trying to control others' experiences so that I get the experience that I want. Like that's the unhealthy way that a one is gonna come through and come out, and it's toxic and not helpful. But I feel that right away as soon as that pops up. It's like, ooh, I know what this is, why it is. No, thank you.
Beautiful. Anything else about the one?
If you have a one in your life, just remember that it can appear that they're being critical or impatient, but they're wanting the best at the heart for themselves and others around. And so sometimes the attention to detail is not always understood, or it can come across without feeling or empathy. And then that's just a growth edge in someone's life.
Yeah. That's true.
Number 2.
The considerate helper.
Because I do this time after time after time. I do all this shit for other people. And then I wake up and I'm empty. I have nothing.
I bring connection, care, and support.
They have, their motivation is to be liked, to be appreciated. So they value relationships. And as a result, things like kindness, generosity, self-sacrifice, they'll go the extra mile for all the people around them without even thinking about it. It's like breathing to it too.
These are the folks who are especially capable of anticipating other people's needs and making others feel seen, heard, and valued in their life.
I have a lot of 2 in me. I'm a very 2-7, I like to say, or a very 72. One of the, and the danger can be people pleasing. Of course, a 2 can, it's like you give without paying equal attention to what do I need, where am I, what is right or better or best for me right now. And it can feel very, like 2s will feel guilty putting themselves first or saying, you know what, I just don't have the time, or I don't have the energy, or just plain I don't want to. Like that's almost anathema. And it can feel deeply wrong to even consider. It can feel selfish.
In one of the offices that I work out of, we have somebody in an important role, critical role of leadership, and they probably are 2 because I watch them be motivated from a place where they love being the relational glue of the team and the office. And whether that is having kind, positive word, or bringing food, or there's something always that they are doing, and their gift shows up beautifully within the context of a team.
My old manager is a 2, and I remember when she took her assessment and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I see parts of that." Like she wasn't quite so sure like just how much of a 2 she was. She's like, "Yeah, I identify with parts of that, but then I don't know about this other part." And she was really irritated or just kind of put off by one of the blind spots that it says about the 2, that they can sometimes be manipulative, even though they don't think of it that way. But like they're it's almost like flattery, like in the way that we can kind of praise somebody because we're wanting something from them in return. So 2s often have trouble asking directly for help. And so they will often give to get, hoping, let me help you and I expect you then to help me, but they're not asking for it directly, which is manipulation. And she was just like, she thought that was just absurd. And I was noticing just how prickly she was getting. And I'm like, there's something there, but I wasn't going to tell her that. And anyway, she took her report home, and she had 2 teenage kiddos and a husband. And she was like, "Well, look at this report and, look at what it said." And she's like, "I just don't know if this is true." And they're reading the report and all of them are just laughing their head off. And they're like, "Mom, this is you to a T. You do that all the time." And she was just like, "What do you mean I do that all the time?" And so for the next several months, it was so much fun to watch her watch herself and then notice just how often she was doing. And then so she was noticing herself being very helpful. And she's like, "I totally am. It's so hard for me to like ask things directly. And I just go around being the helpful little team spirit, rah-rah cheerleader glue." And she's like, and actually I know I am needing support with things, but it's so much easier for me to just help other people. And then I get kind of resentful. And anyway, that the motivations can be so sneaky sometimes.
In their friend group, in the neighborhood, at work, these might be the folks who are remembering the birthdays, checking on somebody who is maybe struggling or noticeably withdrawn or quiet. They're great in work settings for cultivating clients, encouraging colleagues, and helping bear the brunt of the load so that everybody feels supported and seen. They're also great with creativity and being the creative source for belonging for everybody in the group.
Yes. The other thing that I've loved about the Enneagram, I think this might be a helpful nuance to bring into the discussion, is within the symbol of the Enneagram, all the numbers are on the outside and then they're connected by these lines. And the lines, they're not just random to make the symbol look really pretty, but they indicate like the development path that each type follows. And so each type, when we're well-resourced, things are going really well, life is good, we're feeling strong and capable, we tend to show up like the healthy version of the type that's at the end of one of those lines. And then when we're stressed and under-resourced and not going so well, or we're just kind of developmentally less mature, we show up as the unhealthy expression of the type that's at the other end of our line. And so for the 2, their growth edge is to learn how to show up more like a very healthy 8, which is the active controller. So the more direct, assertive. Yeah. Not, so kind of counterbalancing that blind spot of manipulative helping in order to get, and just being able to ask for it directly. And so that's often, I think, the type that's at the end of our growth edge line, may or may not be like, it's fun to feel to what degree is that a challenge for me? Does that feel kind of scary or unnatural?
Mm-hmm. Boundaries are important, and being aware of getting enough time to become resourced for yourself and not burning out.
Mhm.
Two important things to keep in mind if you're a 2.
Mhm. Type 3 is the competitive achiever.
I bring energy, adaptability, and accomplishment
Uh-huh.
into the world.
Yes.
I think I have this thing where I need everybody to think I'm the greatest. And if they aren't completely knocked out and dazzled and kind of intimidated by me, then I don't feel good about myself.
They are motivated by achievement, being the best, coming out on top, getting results. Very image can be very important for a 3.
They'll be goal-oriented, so they're going to organize themselves, their time, their resources around the goals that they have in their life, and can quickly adapt themselves to changing environments.
Mhm.
And they thrive. They love that.
Yeah, very the symbol, they're very chameleon-like. Like a 3 will show you they are so good at walking into a situation and figuring out, okay, how do I need to show up in this moment to it's not like how do I make sure other people like me in the way that a 2 will. A 2 is going to be very agreeable and kind and generous, but this is like, how do I win in a sense? How can I show up as the best in the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. The blind spot that can come along with that is 3s. 3s can lack externally a feeling of authenticity. Like sometimes 3s, it's like you feel like you're getting the polished facade and you're not quite sure. It's like, okay, but who are you really? Like, how do you really? And sometimes 3s, because they're so good at being the chameleon, they start to drink their own Kool-Aid, and that it's like they identify with the mask or with that shifting, ever-changing, how do I need to show up so I can be the best, or show up in a way that other people expect of me, as opposed to who is it, like who am I really and what do I genuinely believe. And so that
it could be an over-identification with the momentum, the confidence, the productivity, the leadership, the resilience. And I mean, it is a superpower to be able to recover quickly from setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a gift to bring and not one's identity.
Right. A main operating mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at home, that's not necessarily going to turn off. Things can always be an opportunity to command and conquer, even within close relationships.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Could be a little bit challenging. This can carry over into relationship with children. If your children are successful in school or sports, a 3 might take on their success as their personal identity, which can be a little bit dangerous and also tenuous within a connection between a parent and a child, especially as a child is learning to make mistakes and fail and not be perfect. And that's not going to go well if the 3 is clearly enmeshed with their kids' success.
I had a VP that I worked with very closely who was a 3. So when we look at Enneagram typing across corporate populations, 3s and 7s are and 8s. 3s, 7s, and 8s are the 3 most common types in the Enneagram. They're way more likely to get promoted into leadership roles because the external kind of manifestations of these 3 types are the exact things that get rewarded in corporate environments. So anyway, it was no surprise that she was a 3. And one of the blind spots can be, so their confidence can get projected as certainty, and certainty is absolutely can be a really good thing, but it can cause them to dismiss other perspectives. And because they're so concerned with like, what's the goal, what's the outcome, how are we going to keep the ball moving forward, anytime a situation is messy or maybe has a bit of nuance or maybe there's some alternative considerations, they can get really impatient with that level of conversation. And I ran into that with her all the time. And thankfully, she was, we did Enneagram typing for the whole team. And she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I am absolutely a 3. And she immediately recognized that blind spot and didn't have any problem with it, at least not on the outside. And, she would in conversations with her, if it was just us one-on-one, I wouldn't do it in a group because, of course, you don't want to like make a 3 look bad. You don't want to make anybody look bad in front of other people, but especially a 3 who's considered very much with appearance and, winning. But privately, one-on-one, if we were trying to have a conversation and she'd start just like dismissing what I was saying and kind of trying to move it forward. And I would be like, I was like, I think you're doing the thing of, I think you're being a 3 right now. Like, can we just pause? Like, give me 2 minutes. And she's like, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. And so thankfully she was very gracious and very curious and thought that whole dynamic within herself was really interesting. But of course, not everybody is that open.
It is important for a 3 to stay connected to their emotional center.
Yeah.
The ability to feel into someone else's experience, empathy, because as a 3, you can walk into a situation where you're just like, I'm here to get things done.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
And the us may be looking back at you if you're this type and saying, hey, I don't need you to fix me right now. I just need you to be here with me. Presence.
Yeah.
Versus trying to process it all and move it through.
Yes.
Be efficient.
Achieve.
Be efficient.
Yes. Linger in and that of course is like another way in which their connection to their own authenticity and their own felt emotional heart experience is so critical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's critical for all of us, but especially if you have 3 tendencies.
The other little piece of wisdom to keep in mind is to be intentional about asking for other perspectives in a situation. And that will help combat a tendency to be dismissive or to rush or to be impatient and to set aside one's own certainty of things. And that can really go a long way within a team and to bring folks together around the ideas and the passion and the gifts of a 3.
Mm-hmm. So for them, their developmental edge is often, how do I show up more like a healthy 9, the peacemaker, which is how do I ensure I'm looking more at the wider picture, I'm dropping the need to perform, and I'm it's almost like coming more deeply in contact with the whole, and myself, of course, gets included in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Type 4.
Yeah.
The intense creative.
Yes.
I bring depth, authenticity, beauty, and meaning into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
Their motivation is to express their uniqueness, to be deeply, painfully authentic sometimes. Like, think of that quintessential artist who just has the burning heart desire to say the deeply profound, beautiful, weird thing. That's the caricature of a 4.
Strong capacity for creativity, meaning making, authentic expression, strong capacity for symbolism ritual.
Yeah, they tend to be very self-aware, deeply connected to their own emotions or to the emotions of others. They want to understand, like, what is this inner experience that I'm having? They're sensitive. They are, out of all of the types in the Enneagram, they will ask the hard questions where, most people might tend to shy away from big, deep topics like death or, I don't know, disease or war, whatever dark place within humanity. And fours are almost magnetically drawn to those big, deep, profound, even if it's painful, quite like they will not shy away at all, which is, I mean, wonderful and can be off-putting depending on what type of person you are receiving that. Yeah.
At work, they may be the folks who you rely upon for bringing fresh and creative ideas, emotional intelligence, depth, originality, a willingness to ask questions. Everyone else might be embarrassed or uncomfortable or avoiding.
Yeah, fours won't have any problem just pointing right at it.
They're the ones that you want to have to make sure that you're seeing all sides of an issue before you go into a big meeting or presentation.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me what I am missing. They will probably see it.
These are the folks that may have a genuine emotional connection to people, but also invested emotionally into projects or places or things that others might not necessarily understand why there's such a passion about it.
One of their blind spots can be they often feel as if there is something unique about them, and even though they want deeply to be connected and to belong, they often feel like their uniqueness sets them apart, and so they can get trapped in a painful loop of comparison. Like envy can kind of be a vice where they're noticing maybe what other, so they tend to be very romantic. Like they will romanticize. So for example, I was coaching this guy for a long time that had just four, strong four, and wanted nothing more than to be a manager, wanted to be a people leader, and had never been promoted. And he was in his 50s at this point, and had such deep, painful angst over, I know I have this beautiful capacity to lead, and I know I would be a great leader, but nobody ever promotes me. And he was obsessed with all of the other leaders around him, and then he was comparing himself to them and noticing what they had and what maybe he didn't. Like it just, his whole filter was, what do other people have that are living in this ivory tower? And he's imagining how wonderful their experience must be, and then noticing the painful lack that he felt on the inside. And so sometimes fours are really good at torturing themselves. And of course, any of us can. So that can be kind of the shape of it in our lives.
I have a sibling that is a four, and I remember my mom through the years saying to them, don't worry about so-and-so, just worry about yourself. I don't know how many times I've heard mom say that.
Don't worry about them, worry about yourself. Because he was comparing himself to them. Yeah. He's like, but I am worrying about myself.
So in a four's mind, their way of relating to a situation is oftentimes, I want us to really talk about this. When others in their world may be having this thought, didn't we finish talking about that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was 2 hours ago. So there's a desire to go deep and really flesh things out, which isn't always understood.
Type 5 is the quiet specialist.
I bring understanding, perspective, and knowledge.
Do you know, I don't know what this is. Not really. I know it's not of this world, that it powered Loki's staff, gave you your abilities, but its true nature is a mystery. And yet it is part of me.
Are you afraid of it?
I wish to understand it. The more I do, the less it controls me. One day, who knows, I may even control it.
So their motivation is to know, to understand. They're going to be the expert at like whatever their passion is. They are going to have breadth and depth of knowledge that is just out of this world. Independence and privacy are very important for a 5. They can have a sense that it feels like the world is intruding on their need for space, quiet time, so they can think deeply, their autonomy, and so they might get protective with whatever for them, whatever is a resource, whether that's time, money, space, physical objects, knowledge, and so they can guard closely the thing that they need to be able to do the depth work and the wide expanse of thinking and knowledge and understanding.
These folks are highly valued as a specialist, a researcher, technical expert, analytics, independent thinkers, a part of the team.
Objective, in-depth, insightful perspectives. They often bring a lot of curiosity. They'll ask, well, how is this connected to that? And why is this thing happening? And they can do so in a way that is unsentimental. They're very, very good at putting their emotions aside when they need to and just like, let's look directly at the problem and not get too worried about it.
At home, there's a need for recharge, which includes privacy, conserving energy can become more visible within a home space. So much so that there can be in the mind of a 5, I just need space so I can recharge.
Yeah.
And the experience from the other end of a partner or a child, they're thinking, why are you withdrawing from me?
Yeah, their preference for retreat, whether that's like literally from a physical standpoint or intellectually, like away from their emotions and up in their head, it can feel like it can lack interpersonal warmth, or it can feel like they're just either they're too distant or they're too emotionally disconnected.
All of that recharge gives them the energy to be able to produce in unconventional ways or pioneering new ideas.
When I was at Dell, this type was the most common type in the org that I worked in the cybersecurity and product and application security group. And it was not uncommon for me to work with a team and half of them were 5s. And so you can imagine the vibe of a team where half of them are 5s and then maybe you've got some 3s and some 2s and like they were so interested in like, give me the cognitive framework for this. And they were more than happy to ask like very nuanced, very detailed questions. But of course, anytime the conversation turned to something emotional, you could just feel the whole room kind of, it's like the air got sucked out of the room almost, or everybody just got very far away.
It probably felt intrusive.
Yeah, to them.
To them.
Yeah.
And they need to
back away.
Yeah. protect their resources, their energy, so that they can think
Yes.
and understand.
Yep. And so that dance is it's a delicate dance, and that gift that they bring absolutely should be honored and celebrated. It's just my tendency for going right for the jugular sometimes was not helpful. Or to them, what felt like a jugular, but to me, what just felt like the place to go. And so I learned. I got lots of
Imagine
lots of feedback.
if a whole group's, if their synergy is around, I don't need much, but I do need my space.
Yes.
And you're invading their space.
Yes. Yeah. And it was lovely how, given that so much of the org, so this is a group of, I think at our height, we had about 2,000 people. And so with so many of them being a 5, and our senior vice president was a 5 as well, there was a huge momentum and understanding for it is expected that you block your calendar and say no to unnecessary meetings, because having protected time to do the deep work is really important. Or
I love that.
It was so nice. There was that was just the norm. Nobody blinked an eye if you declined a meeting and said, you know what, I've really got this thing that I've got to take care of, which is kind of unusual.
That's a healthy boundary.
It is a very healthy boundary. And almost the entire org took pretty much the entire month of December off at the end of the year, because it was just kind of understood, Thanksgiving has happened, Christmas is coming soon, it's the end of the year, we're tired, we've been killing it all year long, and things are just gonna be quiet. They knew that you couldn't have a big project due in December. Either it's got to be done by the end of November or maybe by the end of January, but forget about December. Nobody's going to be around. And so even though it was a big, giant corporation, I kind of got to take the whole month of December off I'd check emails lightly, but nobody was ever messaging me about anything. And so it was really nice. Yeah. Type 6 is the loyal skeptic.
I bring loyalty, preparedness, courage, and protection into the world.
Feel a break? No. Sometimes you can't tell because fluid is rushing into the area. Now, any rushing fluids? No. Are you woozy? No. How many stripes do I have?
So their motivation is to be safe, to be prepared, to see what's coming, to have 3 or 4 escape hatches that they've figured out ahead of time. Just safety, and because to them the world feels like an unthreatening place or a threatening place, and so the loyalty comes from the sense that I need, none of us can do very well all on our own, and so they will always have a small group of people that they are just utterly devoted to, because that's their tribe, and that's how they know that they're going to stay safe and that things are going to be okay.
It makes me ask the question, secure versus insecure attachment. What do you think?
Whether or not 6s are secure versus insecure?
Any patterns that you've recognized over the years?
Yeah, the 6s that I have known well enough to understand their kind of childhood is there was deep, almost enmeshment with a parental figure, not in a healthy way. I mean, enmeshment is so a deep blurring of where is the boundary for me versus you, and usually the parent, and it was most often the mom, it was mom was getting her almost the kind of need that is typically met by dad. So that deep, romantic, devotional, they were doing that with kids, and it was always the boys that I knew that were 6s, and I don't know if that's just anecdotal from my own life. Like there's about a half a dozen of them that I either coached or were personal friends with, and they had deeply enmeshed relationship with mom in a way that caused them to have difficulty figuring out, like, where am I and where are you? And so they would do that, like if you were their person, oh boy, like they were clung on really, really, really tight. So yeah, there was lots of attachment dynamic going on there. Yeah.
One of the gifts that a 6 brings to the world is instinctively asking what could go wrong, and are we prepared for that situation?
Lots of 6s in the military and police forces. Like, they'll put themselves on the line. There's this feeling of duty, protection, very team oriented as well, like the 2s, but for very, very different reasons. So this is like one of the ways that 2s and 6s can be the team glue. But the 2 is doing it because they want to be liked by everybody, and the 6 is doing it because they want the unit to stick together, and they want deep collaboration, and they want to know that everybody's got each other's backs. And so military and police force folks firefighters, emergency responders tend to be very 6y.
So taking anxiety or fear and turning that into, how do we survive? How do we build community? How can we grow our capacity as a group, a team, a unit? Some ways that they're showing up with their gifts in the world.
Blind spot can be, because they're so good at seeing what can go wrong, that can sometimes be the primary lens that they're looking at the world through. So it seems like everything is going to go wrong. Like, if anything can go wrong, then that means anything can go wrong. And so it might look like pessimism or stubbornness or like over analyzing the risk of something, and it's just like too much. It can be too much.
A 6 might often think, I'm trying to make sure we are safe. But family may experience it this way. Why does every possibility become something we need to worry about?
Next is my type 7, the enthusiastic visionary.
I bring possibility, energy, imagination, and joy to the world.
We want to be free to do what we want to do. Yeah. We want to get loaded. Yeah. And we want to have a good time.
So motivational need is to experience it all, live life to the fullest, and avoid anything that is uncomfortable.
A 7 is always going to see, not always, most of the time, a 7 is going to see possibility.
Oh, pretty much always.
Yeah.
Unless we have learned to relax that filter, then yes.
Even when others see a closed doors, the 7 just naturally finds an open window.
Oh, yeah. Playful, spontaneous, sense of adventure.
Great gift at work with the gift of brainstorming, entrepreneurship, vision, innovation, lots of energy. A 7 can drop into a stagnant group and bring life and energy out of nowhere.
Yep. One of our big blind spots is, so we are very fast thinkers. Like it's pretty easy for a 7 to be able to quickly synthesize lots of information. However, it is equally easy for us to then overestimate the extent to which we really understand that information. So we have this way in which we just think of ourselves as instant experts, which can lead other people can usually feel that right away. And so others can feel like they're on shaky ground. Like, this person is moving way too fast and they don't actually know what they're talking about very much. And so it's like, do I trust their capacity? And so it's really important for 7s to learn how to slow the fuck down.
Yeah. They can be tremendously fun and spontaneous, but also a 7 in their mind is saying, hey, I've got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
When friends, family members, and coworkers are asking the question, what happened to the last 6 ideas?
Yeah.
Self-talk. If you're in close connection with a 7, you may feel the self-talk. It might not always come out verbally, but you can sense this. The future is full of exciting possibilities, and I must experience it all. I'm okay. I deserve what I want. What's next? I must move forward. I must have freedom.
Yeah, didn't I just try to have a conversation with you a few weeks ago about maybe we should move to California and live with a permaculture community dude in the middle of nowhere?
It took me out a little bit by surprise. And pretty quick I felt where and why and what. And it was just like, okay, we're fine. I can breathe.
And then sometimes I wonder if we should be living on a boat on a river, or maybe we should move to Portugal. Like I can't tell you the number of ideas I do not bring to you.
I love the idea of being a river pirate, so that's up my alley. But
I learned I'm much better at reining it in. Type 8 is the active controller.
I bring strength, protection, action, and justice into the world.
To have the first inkling how power works. Power is feeling that, knowing that you can do whatever you want and not one fucking person can stop you. And if someone else has a dumb idea that you don't like, well, that's the end of that idea or the end of that person if you want. And if I want to build highways while the rest of the country is broke, I'll punch through any damn neighborhood I want. If some Negro slum is where I'm going to put my federal project or the off-ramp of my bridge, well, the goody-goods can shriek and moan all day long. And if some chump wants to blackjack me, threatening to move our baseball team, well, buddy, the Dodgers can take it on the arches to the fucking coast. I'll find another team that'll play ball with me in my stadium.
So their motivation is to be strong and to not show vulnerability. So vulnerability feels really painful for an 8.
These are the folks who can identify pretty quickly if there's something wrong, and they're able to just move in the direction to have it addressed pretty quickly. So these are the firefighters who, as everyone's running out of the building, they're the ones who are like, move out of my way.
Charge straight ahead.
Let's do it.
Yeah, very decisive.
We're going to fix this.
Yeah, very confident, very direct. They will say exactly what they think, even if it's uncomfortable for other people to hear. They tend to be really annoyed the way most other people kind of dance around an issue or kind of tiptoe or sidestep. Like they wish everybody would just say exactly what they think or what they feel and get on with it already.
At work, these are the folks who are the dynamic leaders during times of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
They make decisions, confront problems directly, challenge injustice, and ultimately are not easily intimidated.
Underneath that very direct, decisive, strong exterior is a giant squishy teddy bear. And if you are in the 8's inner circle, you've got a protector for life. I mean, they have that kind of loyalty that a type 6 does. The motivation is different, but it's that same kind of devoted, you're part of my tribe now, and we're in it no matter what.
You may have a 8 in your life if you have ever been with your friend or loved one and you're recognizing that they're thinking somebody has to take charge in this situation. And you as a friend or a loved one may be thinking nobody else gets a say. So it's important to name that there's an important relational paradox that the 8 strongly resist being controlled themselves, while sometimes expecting others to comply directly with their perceived perception and perspective in a particular situation. And this can create some tension within the connections of life.
Yeah, often their energy comes off much more strongly than they realize, and so they can seem pretty intimidating to other people, and that, they might act very swiftly, and to them it seemed like they might not appreciate the way other people just need some time to absorb what's going on, to formulate a plan, to see the bigger picture. And so the force at which they make a decision and initiate action can leave other people feeling overwhelmed. And so it's important to just their 8s are somebody who they walk into a room and they fill up the entire room. 7s can too because they're so boisterous, but 8s they just have big energy, very strong, commanding presence.
They're going to make a great CEO.
Yep.
Oftentimes, their perspective, maybe we could say that their self-talk is the world is tough and unjust. Only the strong and the passionate and the bold survive. I am that rock. I am not weak. I am in control. Do it my way.
My way or the highway.
Yep.
Dog eat dog world. Those are all very 8 sayings.
Definitely somebody that I want in my corner when things get tough.
Oh, heck yeah. And then we have your type, the 9. Adaptive peacemaker.
I bring harmony, acceptance, perspective, and steadiness into my world.
Now, this here story I'm about to unfold took place back in the early 90s, just about the time of our conflict with Saddam and the Iraqis. I only mention it because sometimes there's a man, I won't say a hero, because what's a hero? But sometimes there's a man, and I'm talking about the dude here. Sometimes there's a man, well, he's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's the dude in Los Angeles. And even if he's a lazy man, and the dude was most certainly that, quite possibly the laziest in Los Angeles County, which would place him high in the running for laziest worldwide.
Motivated by a need to be settled, for everything to be in harmony, and for them to be in harmony with the world around them.
My self-talk pretty quickly can shift into I'm okay as long as the people around me are okay.
Very patient, very supportive, understanding. I think genuineness is probably the thing that has always struck me the most about you and 9s in general. There's that unpretentious, just present, connected. There's no filter. I can feel the way that I am just getting you.
There's a instinctual sense for a 9 that we all belong here in life, which makes room for multiple perspectives without really immediately needing to choose one or let one win.
I'm just imagining how that would go over for the 8 that we just talked about. Yeah.
Put an 8 and a 9 together and you've got a pretty dynamic team.
Absolutely.
If they can survive.
Yeah.
At work, 9s are great as mediators, facilitators, listeners, consensus builders, rather, and the gift of establishing presence within a group.
I always assumed that 9s are probably the best diplomats in the world. I'll bet if you gave an Enneagram type to all the people in diplomatic positions, like within government, that you're going to find a lot of 9s. 'Cause
That could be.
don't know if there's any data on that, but that's the story I like to tell myself.
If you are married or somehow connected to a 9 in a close relational way, your 9 may be thinking it's really not that big of a deal. And you may be thinking, hey, we need to move on this really quick.
My favorite blind spot for the 9 is the way that they will avoid being controlled by others in a kind of counterintuitive way. So 9s will be passive, non-assertive, totally unmoved. And so, like, I can't tell you the number of times I have felt your immovability around. Like, if I am looking for a particular answer or decision and you're just, it's like you're not directly saying no, but you're also not saying yes.
Don't force me to make a decision.
No.
Until I'm ready to make a
I know.
decision.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to reveal my cards until
Yes.
it's time to reveal
Yes.
my cards.
Yes.
And this is not the time to reveal my cards.
Yep. It has taken me. It's sometimes infuriating and also just delightful because it's such a different way of moving through the world than I've ever really experienced before. So it's yeah, it's fun.
It is important for a 9 to do the work of knowing what their desire is, what they truly want, and being able to express it in ways that they feel safe and accepted.
The other blind spot is, and I imagine folks might have experienced this through us on the podcast, in pursuing the need to ensure that everybody is heard. 9s will often present multiple viewpoints in a conversation. So this is your rabbit trails tendency.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So when I first started looking at the Enneagram and that study became a part of my experience, I realized that in public speaking, I would always use, without fail, 3 examples to try to communicate one point or one idea. And the 3 examples that I would use, I didn't realize at first, I was unconscious that I was working to connect with developmental ability to receive information and to grow and to learn from it.
Oh, so you were trying to give.
I was trying to give examples and illustrations that would connect to the kids in the audience, the young adults, and then the old timers. And it was like a stair step. And I would have people that would ask me, why did you, because the old timers oftentimes would understand all 3, and they were the ones who were most vocal and giving feedback. And there was just sometimes confusion. Why are you're saying the same thing from 3 different perspectives? Why are you doing that? And it was always like, well, this is what there is to do. And it was very 9-y in my
that is
way
very
of
9-y.
communicating.
It's beautiful. And I imagine there's a need for discernment in which situations it's appropriate to do that. And which it's not. Yeah.
Not every situation.
Aside from the 9 and the 1, is there any other type that you feel connected to with any kind of regularity, or that you see show up in your?
Each of these ways of being or recognizing how one shows up, there's different times that different parts will be the way that I'm leaning in a situation. So I think the 1 is probably, and again, coming back to what is it, nature or nurture, being a 1 or having 1 as motivation in a lot of situations, the way that I present is probably the easiest one to notice and connect with. The others are great. They just I dip into them and then dip out in different ways.
Yeah, so maybe as an overview, like from a motivational standpoint, and of course, I imagine we can all recognize the different ways that all of these motivations are important to us. So, one, the motivation to do the right thing. So that's the 1. The motivation to be liked. That's the 2. The motivation to be the best. That's the 3. To be unique is the 4. To understand is the 5. To be safe. To experience it all. To be in control. And to maintain balance or harmony. Like, I imagine we can all connect to some aspect of each of those throughout our day and in our relationships. So these are all familiar within each of us.
And I think taking it out of the what is my personality type and putting it into what is my motivation for being in the world, it reconnects us back to some of the ideas that we talked about in the previous podcast on the holy ideas. And it frees us to not ask what's wrong with my type.
Yeah.
But rather, the much more interesting question becomes, what gift am I trying to bring into the world? And what happens when, maybe we could use the word fear, sabotages or causes me to obscure that gift? And so I miss it in my experience, because oftentimes our greatest strength and our most frustrating patterns often grow from the same place.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
It is.
So that stream of 9-ness that wants to flow out and through me probably shouldn't be hated on or rejected or shoved away, but should be rested into and acknowledged to have, number one, is coming from a source that is unending, and the ways that it will continue to grow, evolve, and change my experience is only going to be realized as I say yes and just sit in the flow of my 9-ness.
Yeah, well said. And if you don't know what type you are and you're curious, there's a website called clearerthinking.org. They have a free personality test. It actually will tell you your Enneagram type, your Myers-Briggs type, and another one as well. They put like several of them together, and they'll just kind of tell you what your personality is from lots of different perspectives. And they've done it is by far the best free resource out there. Like they've done an enormous amount of work validating it, and they update it. They've updated it several times since they released it a few years ago. So clearerthinking.org, I think it's called something like the ultimate personality test. And it's totally free, and it's absolutely wonderful. So good resource.
So as we wrap up this episode of Remembering You, let's keep in mind that each of these 9 ways of being in the world are paths, maybe doorways back into who we truly are. And remembering that personality isn't the destination, it's simply the path that leads us home.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Until next time, my friends.
We will see you then.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.